CTV News at 5 with Hudson Mack.
RCMP have now released the name of a boy who was killed in Monday's stolen car crash near Sooke. Police say the 15-year-old Nicholas Tweedy was killed when the car he was riding in struck a pole and flipped into a ditch on West Coast Road. RCMP say they will not release the name of the 18-year-old driver of the vehicle unless and until charges are laid. Investigators say the driver is cooperating and could be charged with possession of stolen property and criminal negligence causing death. Well, as the Vancouver Canucks get ready to launch another Stanley Cup run tonight, there's still a hangover from the last one, and today the Crown approved charges against 7 more people in last year's riot, bringing to 85 the number of people who are now charged. The accused come from across the Lower Mainland, ranging in age from 15 to 37. And there are more charges coming. Vancouver police recommend charges against another 76 people. And more rioters could be identified in a new Facebook campaign. A third person has now entered a guilty plea. She's a 21-year-old woman who admits that she stole a pair of pants from a store while the looting was underway. She'll be back in court for sentencing in June. A former Czech TV advertising salesman will not go to jail for fraud. 43-year-old Michael Muir has been given a conditional sentence of 2 years less a day and 2 years probation. Muir is not permitted to drink or gamble, not even lottery tickets, 50-50 draws, or poker games at home for 4 years. Muir pleaded guilty to 5 counts of fraud over $5,000. Court was told that while he was at Czech TV, Muir cultivated business acquaintances and defrauded some of them for more than $175,000 in a Ponzi scheme involving flat-screen TV sets for area hotels. Well, BC Ferries has a new contract extension with its unionized employees, and that's providing them with a wage increase. About 3,700 BC Ferries employees will get a total wage increase of nearly 6.3% as part of the new deal. The salary boost comes after BC Ferries and the BC Ferry and Marine Workers Union agreed to continue their existing collective agreement set to expire in October. BC Ferries says the pay hike will not only benefit employees, but ferry riders as well.
Employees are going to be happy knowing they can come to work each day. They've got certainty of employment. That's going to transpire into a more productive workforce. It's the first time in 20 years we've been able to ratify a collective agreement, and essentially gives labor peace for a long period of time, which is good for the traveling public through 2015. Now we know we're going to have uninterrupted ferry service.
In 2003, 2004, and 2005, the majority of the membership got 0, 0, and 0. So that's a lot of zeros, and then we had some increases, and so basically we have not caught up with inflation for a long time. It has eaten everything away.
Ferry salaries will increase by 1% in October and another 1.5% in April 2013. The increases will be implemented every year after that until 2015. Slow going for folks driving north on the Pat Bay Highway near Sidney today after the blacktop turned green. A green residue was spotted first by Main Road Contracting near Beacon Avenue just after 8 this morning. Firefighters had to shut down a portion of the highway as the hazmat crews were called in to clear up the mess, and that in itself proved to be quite a task.
Once Main Road put some sand down on this unknown substance, it turned a bright green, which was cause for concern, hence the call to our fire department, and 2 officers responded and investigated.
The hazmat crews say the material spilled was a type of powdered dye, which is a very fine dust. Not toxic, though, and it may take a number of days before it's fully cleared from the road surface. Well, not everybody thinks it's a good idea. In fact, many don't, but you soon will be able to enjoy a beer, a glass of wine, or a cocktail, or whatever you prefer, next time you're at a movie theater in British Columbia. BC movie theaters can now get a license to serve alcohol during screenings. The province says the alcohol will be restricted to adult-only auditoriums in both movie houses and live event theaters. The Victoria Film Festival, which has hosted quote-along screenings with special liquor licenses in the past, says this is in fact good news. It's exciting.
You know, and as patrons arrive for the opening screening film, we can serve them a glass of champagne and they can take it into the theater and you know, make the night even more special than we already do.
These new rules come after the old rules forced the Rio Theatre in Vancouver to lay off staff and to give up $40,000 in business when it had to back out of a local film festival in January. Liquor is allowed in theatres that have age restrictions in Alberta, Manitoba, and Ontario. The Vancouver Island Health Authority is reviewing the license of a Saanich daycare centre tonight as police investigate allegations of sex offences involving a child in the centre's care. Saanich police have been investigating the Monkey Tree Daycare since January. Charges were approved late last month. Police say 60-year-old Douglas Ralph Page is accused of sexual assault and sexual interference involving a person under the age of 16. Court records claim that the offences were committed in November 2010. Saanich police say tonight there is no evidence to suggest there were any other victims. Page has been released from custody on a number of conditions. The daycare is operating, but under strict guidelines. The daycare provider can still watch 2 children in addition to any of her own. A CTV News cameraman was roughed up outside the courthouse in Vernon today, attacked by supporters of a man who is accused of murdering a teen in Armstrong last Halloween.
Hands off, hands off, hands off. Get out of here.
The CTV cameraman and a freelance photographer were assaulted outside the courthouse, where Stephen Forrester made an appearance by video inside. Forrester is charged with being an accessory in the killing of 18-year-old Taylor Van Diest. His son Matthew is charged with her murder. Van Diest was attacked and beaten to death while walking near railway tracks in Armstrong on Halloween. Today, RCMP are asking the public to take a good look at this video of Matthew Forrester. They hope to come up with a detailed timeline of his activities on October 31st last year. Anyone who may have had contact with him is asked to contact police. Victoria Police are honouring outstanding acts of bravery in the Capital Region at a ceremony today. More than 100 officers and 14 civilians have been recognised at the annual Vic PD Honours ceremony held in the Esquimalt. Awards were handed out to those who have helped to solve crimes, have helped to prevent violence, and have saved lives. 10-year-old Elijah Ransom received the Citizens Commendation Award for saving his mother's life.
Well, I was calling my mom to turn off the light like she always does, and she didn't come for a while, so I checked everywhere. The last place I checked, she's in the bathroom on the floor, moaning.
So he had the foresight to go and talk to the neighbor and get the neighbor. She came in and called an ambulance, and they determined that I had had a seizure, so it was quick thinking on his part.
The ceremony today is the 3rd annual Vic PD Honours Service. A private member's bill that intends to protect transgendered people from discrimination is inching its way through Parliament. Esquimalt-Wanda-Fuka MP Randall Garrison is in Ottawa and says he's ready to fight for transgendered people's rights. The issue, of course, was very much in the news last week when a transgender beauty queen from Vancouver fought for her right to compete in the Miss Universe pageant. The bill of Garrison's would offer protection to transgendered people under the Human Rights Act and Criminal Code. The bill's current author says transgendered people don't have the same degree of protection that other Canadians enjoy.
I think it's important to all Canadians because it helps complete what I'd call our human rights project, because there are some groups now who don't enjoy the same protection as all other Canadians. And so this will extend the same protections that others enjoy to transgendered, transsexual and gender variant Canadians. This is really about basic human rights that all Canadians should enjoy, and we have some people who, through prejudice and ignorance, have been discriminated against, subject to violence, and have a very much more difficult time just trying to live their lives as who they are than the rest of us. And so it's time to provide that protection equally to everyone.
This is the 4th incarnation of the bill. It originally was passed officially in the House of Commons in 2011, but then got hung up in the Senate when the election was called. The next reading for the bill is scheduled for early June. RCMP and Nanaimo are hoping you'll be able to recognize a man who's suspected of robbing the Days Inn on the Island Highway. Take a look. Police say the man entered the hotel lobby through a back door at about 20 after 10 last night, told the employees that he had a gun and demanded money. He then grabbed cash and ran out of the hotel towards Halliburton Street. He's described as being about 6'2" with a medium build and spoke with a French accent. If you recognize him from that picture or know anything about the holdup, you're asked to contact Nanaimo RCMP or Crime Stoppers.